There we go. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending our Board of Supervisors meeting this July 15th. I appreciate it and always like to take a moment to say 9 a.m. on a Tuesday is not always the most convenient time. That is just the way that it's set up for all counties, but I really appreciate those of you that are able to take the time to review some of the stuff that we're doing for the community and working with staff and be here to participate in that. So I really appreciate it. With that, we will move into the Pledge of Allegiance. And Josh, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's the danger of the chair knowing you. You end up getting to have to do the pledge. All right. So with that, looking over the agenda that we have today, we have a number of items on consent. We're going to be doing item 14 before we move into our closed session. We have 4 different closed session items that we're going to be doing today. That will be a conference of labor negotiators, public employee performance evaluation, public employee appointment, and another conference with labor negotiators. We do have a few appointments after that. One of them is a 10 a.m. closed session appointment. And then we have 2 land use issues that we will be dealing with as our second and third 10 a.m. appointment. So with that, I believe we're going to be doing item 14 after the consent calendar. Then I'm moving immediately into closed. Is there any issues so far? We're doing great. Good morning. All right. Good. So with that, we will open up oral communications. This is your time with your Board of Supervisors to discuss any item that is not on the agenda. You'll have 3 minutes to be able to address the board. You'll hear a beep at 1 minute. And I see Nathan's right up there on the button. You have the longest drive of anybody here, I think.
Well, that's okay.
Appreciate it.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, gentlemen, Roger, and team here at the county. Nathan Alonzo, your local government affairs rep for Pacific Gas and Electric, coming before you this morning. Well, I hadn't seen a lot of you in a long time, so I wanted to come and make sure that y'all were still here and we're doing well. But no, wanted to come before you to say that we'd love to come in the next couple months to do a presentation over the work that we're doing in the county on the undergrounding front, some of the investments that we've made in the grid over the course of the last several months, our vegetation management work, and some of the reliability improvements that we've made. Happy to share that this year we've seen an even more dramatic decrease in the number of EPSS outages, even compared to last year, which last year had a fraction of what we had in 2023. So we're getting better and better with the number of sectionalizing devices, breaking the grid down, the number of undergrounding miles going into the county, and some of the work that we're doing on the reliability front. So this year there was no hiccup in Groveland over the July 4th weekend. This year there's been no dramatic effect that's been stopping tourism and other traffic at Columbia State Park. We have solved the issues that were plaguing the Phoenix Lake community. I'm sure we're doing something in Anaya's district, so all good things there, but would love to come back before this board later on this year to give a little bit more as far as details go of the work that we're doing and how we're showing up for Tuolumne County. So good to see all of you, and I look forward to coming back soon.
Nathan, thank you. We always appreciate our partners making time to drive up and give us an update as well, so we'll follow up on that. Good morning.
Yet again, beseeching you to give money to the libraries. We really need the funds. And granted, police and fire are very important, but so is our library because it serves our community in many different ways. What troubles me is that the library is stretched thin. Our operating manager has to constantly shuffle librarians around to cover some of the other libraries when somebody's sick, has a vacation, or has surgery. What also concerns me is that we have been out of compliance with state regulation 19142, which says we must have a head librarian who is qualified with a degree. None of this has happened in recent years, and it's getting more and more critical. None of this should be happening. The library is too valuable to the community, offers too many services to ignore. So let's see the library become what it should be and what it can be. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Leadership is not easy. In Mark chapter 10, after Jesus informs the apostles that he will be killed and then resurrected, the apostles James and John asked Jesus if they could sit at his right and left after his resurrection. They had selfish and prideful intentions. They placed themselves above their fellow apostles and wanted to be leaders with Jesus in what they assumed was going to be his new kingdom. They thought he was going to defeat the Romans and rule the world. They were wrong. His response was to ask if they knew what they were really asking, and if they would be able to carry the same burden that he would they also be willing to die for God? Eventually, they did die for him. Jesus followed up by stating that the positions they seek are determined by God, and that true leadership means true sacrifice. He said, you must be willing to put yourself last, and the people you are leading first. Jesus' leadership was marked by integrity, humility, truth, compassion, and most of all, sacrifice. Sacrifice to the point of death, and worse, a torture that no human will ever understand, the heaping of all of our sins upon him. And as a result of his sacrifice for all of us, Jesus had more followers who follow him by choice and not by force than any other person in history. I suspect that every firefighter, law enforcement officer, and member of the military understands this. They recognize the leaders among them who have their backs, the ones who will give up their lives to help their workmates when things get really bad. Those are the ones who people want to follow, the selfless ones. And they follow by choice, not because they are forced or tricked into it. I'm not saying that we all need to die in order to be good leaders, but as leaders, we should ask ourselves, am I embodying the same qualities of truth, integrity, humility, compassion, and sacrifice that Jesus not only talked about, but demonstrated? Am I trying to force or trick people into following me? Or are people following me of their own accord because I am a good leader who inspires them to follow? Lord, I pray for the 5 men in front of me as they lead this county. They are leaders among leaders, Lord, as they are charged with overseeing all of the other leaders in our county. And they are in the midst of making many difficult decisions, God. I pray that you forge them into the leaders that you want them to be. And I thank you for the example that Jesus gives us. How would we know if you didn't show us? In Jesus' name I pray this. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Looking to see if we have additional public comment. Oral communications. So I always get the two mixed up.
Hi, my name's Ree Anderson, and I'm here to just clarify something. And Cody, feel free to correct me if I say something incorrect. A lot of people have contacted me in the last month or so regarding why Public Works hasn't stepped in on our dump situation or landfill situation in our neighborhood. And I want to clarify that Public Works did all they could. They do not have code compliance under their jurisdiction. That is Community Development Department. Once they revoked the original grading permit, which happened fairly fast in county time, in 2022, that's when that permit was revoked. CDD then took over and worked out something so that a ministerial permit was issued, and the developer was able to grade and continue developing the landfill, the disposal facility, the dump, whatever you want to call it, under a ministerial building permit. Because the parcel itself is so small, it's less than 3 acres, it's 2.5 acres. And it is in a neighborhood, so it's got people all around it. So that is why it is not under the jurisdiction of Public Works and under the jurisdiction of Community Development Department. I think I said that okay, right? I just want to make that absolutely clear because it's not clear to the general public. Thank you very much for your time.
Great, thank you. And I didn't jump in because I didn't want to interrupt the train of thought, but all comments should be addressed to the board, not to staff in oral communications. So occasionally we'll ask them for clarification, but it's not a Q&A with our staff. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Brandon and supervisors. I'm Jen Lopez, Marketing Manager at Visit Tuolumne County. I'm here this morning to tell you about a couple of exciting things that we have coming up. One is that we are bringing back for the second year in a row our annual tourism summit. This will be on October 16th at Chicken Ranch Casino Resort. And we have a very exciting lineup of speakers that will be presenting. We have David Holder, who spoke last year with a very energetic keynote. And we will also have a public relations panel moderated by our PR rep, Lori Armstrong, which will consist of a traditional travel journalist and also a travel influencer, and discuss the differences between the two. I'm very excited to have Lynn Carpenter, who is the Senior Vice President of Marketing for Visit California. And we will also have a social media tips and trends presentation. We will provide our annual report summary, and also we'll be introducing our new advertising agency, Madden Media. Registration for this is open. You can register at visittuolumne.com/tourism summit. Again, that's on October 16th. And something very exciting that is brand new that we will be presenting at the summit are our tourism industry awards. And we have come up with 3 different awards for community tourism industry members to be nominated for. And those are a Tourism Advocate Award, a Spirit of Tuolumne County Award, and also a Frontline Hospitality Champion Award. But that doesn't need to be a frontline person. It could be anybody in the tourism industry who's out there providing excellent guest service. So again, we are very excited to be presenting those. We have information out. Thank you very much for helping get the word out, Supervisor Griefer. And you can nominate through August 15th at visittuolumne.com/tourism awards. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. All right, do we have additional oral communications? Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Josh Martin. I'm Recreation Supervisor for the County Recreation Department, and I'm up here. I've been, told probably not the smartest thing to get up here and address the board on something like this, but I felt like it was needed since not much has been addressed to us. But I want to start off by saying I know there's nothing that can be done or changed about Eric Aiken and his dismissal, but I just want to put it out there on the record that his staff, both the recreation department and the library staff, would go to war for that man. He did an amazing job. There's nothing that anyone could convince me of otherwise. He was a great leader and an even better man, and we are heartbroken to see him gone. I think it should be known to you guys that morale at the library and the recreation staff, there is none. I wouldn't even call it low. It is gone. This board talks a lot about transparency to staff in the community, which I believe we deserve. And as a staff, we don't believe we got that. Eric was let go on a Monday. No one communicated to our staff until a Thursday of that week. We went 3 days. Where's our leader? We know he would not abandon us. So that was a gut punch. Luckily, I like to think most of us in our department are pretty smart, and so we could put 2 and 2 together, but we still felt it was, when we speak of leadership earlier, to not be notified for 3 days, it makes us have a lack of faith in the leadership. We believe we should have been notified. This is a man who gave 37 years of his life to our department, started at 15 as a lifeguard, worked his way all the way up to department head, commuted from Lodi every day. You're not going to find someone that cares about this community more than that. But I think when we talk about leadership, one of the things that really is getting everyone in our department a little upset is this board, and we understand business decisions get made. I'm not arguing your decision. But you wrote the sentence, How could none of you be there to swing the axe? 37 years this man worked for us, and no one that made this decision could be there to give him the dignity and respect of, this is why we're letting you go, and or this is why this is what's going on. Again, I know getting myself up here and standing in front of you probably put a target on my back and on the department as well, but we love this man, and that's why we're here today. And we hope moving forward, there will be more respect given to the department to be able to offer the things we offer to our community. We will continue to do the work that he has inspired us to do. And thank you for your time.
Great, thank you. And I want to say I appreciate, because that is a hard position to be in, as a staff member, to come up and address the board. And I don't want you to ever feel like there's anything retaliatory about this. I appreciate you being here and speaking. And I also want to apologize as chair. I was not aware that the notification also came that late. And you're right, that is entirely inappropriate. And so I'll have a conversation after this, but that is something that I want to personally apologize for. And thank you for bringing that to my attention. All right, do we have additional oral communications?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So there's going to be a preschool open house for Tiny Tots on July 30th from 1 to 4. And you can get more information calling 209-533-5663. And I'm disappointed Nathan from PG&E did not mention a new PG&E program. Apparently, Tuolumne County has more than 1,100 PG&E customers who fall below the 400% of the federal poverty level. And we have a lot of people who aren't paying their PG&E bills. So they're starting a Match My Payment program that'll match up to $1,000 over, I think it's the next year, 6 months to a year. They have to pay at least $50 toward their outstanding balance each time to get this funding, and you'd have to contact them for more info. I want to thank the sheriff and his command team for doing the town hall on Thursday. Unfortunately, he didn't have a lot of people, which is too bad, but he was here. I'd like to thank the district attorney and her team for sending 2 complete unrepentant scumbags off to prison in the past couple of weeks. And I was there to witness that, and that was really nice. The Senior Center is going to be having their radiothon on August 22nd from 9 to 12 to benefit Meals on Wheels, which are losing a significant amount of funding, so they need help. You can call their number at 209-533-2622. And for Clark Broadcasting, Cassandra Janicki's been our district attorney for what, 5-6 years now? Why can't they say her name correctly? Her last name is Janicki, it's not Janecki. Can you please get that right? And I'd like to talk about a little recycling. So all of our grocery stores now have these compostable produce bags. So they're made out of either corn or potato starch. So you can throw them supposedly in your compost pile because they get warm and wet and they'll dissolve. They are not recyclable, and people keep throwing them in the recycle bins. These grocery bags that you have to pay 10 cents for are meant to be used 125 times. And they can certainly be washed so they can be clean, and you can reuse them. But we don't. And so a lot of people are sending these to the recycle boxes that are like at Kohl's or Safeway and Walmart. No one in California recycles these bags. They are not recyclable in our state, and they go to the landfill. So please find a way to repurpose those and give them to someone else who can use them again if you can't. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Do we have additional oral communications?
Good morning, Patricia Ray, also on Rugged Trail where Ree lives, and hoping to double back to the toxic dump issue, which I hope is not considered just a complaint by 1 or 2 old ladies complaining every time a gnat burps, because this sort of thing can also, I keep repeating, could spread to other places in the county. The type of project, quote unquote, this has been, unless there's positive changes now in the CDD and in your leadership over these departments. The thing about this, I'll say now, if the same sort of thing was to be allowed anymore, the county could be known, if it isn't already, as a sort of sump or catchment for inferior projects that aren't wanted elsewhere in California. Instead, we need to have future projects where everybody would go through the same processes and get permits, instead of certain people merrily grading and excavating without permits, making violations, making stress to neighbors and homeowners. Future projects need to be so easy to live with as to uphold the longtime neighbors' property values too, instead of wrecking them. I'll end here. So I'm asking again on this, please, some positive changes. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, do we have other oral communications to the board? Again, this is for any items not on the agenda. Going once, going twice. All right, we'll be closing oral communications. With that, we'll be moving into staff reports. Any members of the staff would like to deliver a report, please come on up. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Brandon, members of the board, Annie Hockett, Health and Human Services Agency Director. I'm here today to announce that the 4th Annual Community Roots Resource Fair is scheduled to take place Wednesday, September 24th from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Mudload Fairgrounds. This free public event brings together numerous local organizations committed to supporting Tuolumne County residents experiencing economic challenges and other obstacles and hardships. This event was initially launched in 2022 in order to simplify the process for our residents to quickly access resources and learn about the various services that are available in our community. We have a range of service providers typically represented at this event. You will see things such as utility bill help, food resources, employment services, family, youth, senior, and disability services. This year, we're excited to announce that we have a new addition to the event. In lieu of the health fair this year, we are going to be offering free healthcare screenings to promote increased access to local healthcare resources. This addition aligns really well with the event's mission to connect our residents with essential services, information, and care. A flu clinic will also be provided. Registration is currently open for vendors. If you are interested, you can go to communityrootsresources.org and register for a spot. Any questions, you're free to call our office at 533-5719. This event would not be possible without the generous support of the Sonora Area Foundation, and so we are very grateful for that continued partnership, and we hope to see many people there.
Great, thank you. Do we have other staff reports? If we have anybody who's also planning to give a staff report, it does help. If you can come up, we've got this great handy 4-line of chairs there. No one in particular. All right. Good
Sorry
morning.
about that. I thought there would be a longer line. Normally
you never
there's
know.
a longer line. Good morning, board. My name is Dory Beats, Tuolumne County Office of Emergency Services. A couple little updates. As we watch the increase of wildfire activity in our state and the horrific loss of life seen in Texas due to flooding, we really wanted to take a moment to remind our residents and our visitors of a few things. Times are changing. The frequency and intensity of natural disasters is having a huge impact on communities, large and small. With peak wildfire season on the horizon, we would like to remind you to sign up for emergency alerts. We cannot stress the importance of getting as many folks here signed up. Please visit our website or give us a call at 209-533-6395, and one of our staff would be happy to walk you through that process. Lastly, in an effort to get ready for wildfire, as you know, the Office of Emergency Services is responsible for mass care and sheltering. We are the ones that help coordinate and get that ready in the time of need. And so while we as a county have an agreement with Red Cross for sheltering, it can take up to 2 hours for Red Cross volunteers. In the middle of the night when we have an incident, that just simply will not do. So we are trying to figure out how we fill that gap. I'm very proud to say that we are working out ways to make sure we fill that gap. Last month, we had 3 sessions, half-day sessions of trainings for both Tuolumne County employees as well as volunteers to help set up a shelter within that first 2 hours, making sure that folks knew what needed to happen in 3 of the locations that we have designated for shelters. So I really want to make a call out to those folks who stepped up, and county employees really are helpful and invaluable into the work that we do, definitely in the time of disaster. So bear with me as I just quickly get through this list. John Schakowsky from Tuolumne County Public Health, Michelle Clark from Health and Human Services, Tabitha Hooter from Behavioral Health, Jessica sorry if I don't say this right, Budselich from Public Health, Maura Devlin from Public Health, Pamela Stone from DSS, Annie Hockett from Health and Human Services, Brittany Madden from Behavioral Health, Pandora Armbruster from Behavioral Health, Sean Scheimer from Tuolumne County Animal Control, Sarah Campbell from Tuolumne County Animal Control, Jessica Olson from Behavioral Health, Heather Ryan from the CAO's office, Evan Hammond from Behavioral Health, Corinne Gregson from Facilities, Alicia Farr from DSS, Debbie Drake from Public Health, and Katie Johnson from Public Health. These volunteers these employees set time out of their day to come and learn and be available. As you know, every employee of Tuolumne County is a disaster service worker. So in the time of need, we can pull in folks to help us. So I want to thank each and every one of them for doing that, because now I have a good team of folks that we can call. I also want to call out both our Tuolumne County CERT members as well as our Groveland CERT members that were able to attend. We hope to get the Twain Harte CERT members trained up as well in future. So we feel a little bit better that we're more prepared. Our last EOC activation was back in August for the Canyon Fire, and that was in the middle of the night. There's nothing like individuals being evacuated and having no place to go. So we take pride in making sure that we have a place for our public and our visitors, our residents, and even our animals to go to in the middle of the night. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Do we have any additional staff reports? All right, so with that, we will close staff reports and move into the consent calendar. If the clerk can read the consent calendar. Oh, thank you. First, we'll bring it back to the board. If there's any items we wanted to pull off of the consent calendar.
Just item 6. Be quick.
Okay. Is it something that we need to have a separate vote, or is it a comment then?
No, not a separate vote. We can do comment then. I'll make it a comment.
Okay, sure. Right. So we'll keep item 6 on, but we'll have a comment on it. Do we have any other items that we're looking at pulling off?
Yes, Chair, I would like to pull item 5.
Okay. All right. Seeing no additional ones, if the clerk can read the consent calendar minus item 5.
Excuse me. Item 1, approving the minutes of the June 17, 2025 and June 24, 2025 meetings. Item number 2, determining there is a need to continue the emergency actions ordered by the County Administrative Officer as a result of a plumbing failure and resulting water damage on April 3, 2025 at the ANF Francisco Building located at 48 Yaney Avenue, Sonora, California, pursuant to Public Contract Code 22050 and Tuolumne County Ordinance Code 3.22.060 for FIS required. Item number 3, approving a contract between the Tuolumne County Department of Social Services and Chabot Las Positas Community College District not to exceed $1,500,000 per fiscal year through June 30, 2026 for Title 4E, specialized training services, authorize the board chair to sign the agreement and authorize the county administrator to sign all future related documents. This is included in the fiscal year 25-26 recommended budget. Item number 4, recognizing unanticipated revenue in the amount of $5,000 from Adventist Health Sonora for the distribution of car seats and increasing appropriations by the same amount in the fiscal year 2025-26 Public Health Department budget. 4/5 vote required. Item number 6, approving an agreement with NorCal Communications, Inc. for structured cabling and installation services for the 911 dispatch relocation to Stryker Court, not to exceed $67,048, and authorize the county administrator to sign all related documents included in the fiscal year 25-26 recommended budget. Item number 7, adopting resolution 50-25, restricting overnight roadside parking along Standard Road north of Tuolumne Road for a distance of 630 feet. Item number 8, accepting the resignation of District 5 Representative Jeanette Lambert from the Tuolumne County Homelessness Committee and directing the clerk of the board to send a letter of appreciation and post a notice of vacancy. Item number 9, approving cooperative service agreement number 25-7306-0282-RA with USDA Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, Wildlife Services for wildlife damage management, including the fiscal year 25-26 annual financial work plan for the amount of $103,540 and a CEQA notice of exemption, and delegating signature authority to the CAO for all future annual financial plans covered under this cooperative service agreement, included in the fiscal year 25-26 recommended budget. Item number 10, accepting the resignation of Myra Pate from the First 5 Tuolumne County Commission and directing the clerk of the board to send a letter of appreciation and post a notice of vacancy. Item 11, accepting the notice of completion for the Jamestown Road Reconstruction Project, contract number 1764, and authorizing the chair to sign the notice. Item number 12, approving updated budget reports for the information technology and purchasing internal service funds of the fiscal year 25-26 recommended budget. Item 13, rescinding resolutions 85-19 and 51-20 and adopting resolution 51-25, changing the hours of operation for the recorder's office.
Great job as always. Lots of words. Yeah. Supervisor Kirk, did you want to lead with comments?
Yeah, on number 6, the reason why I wanted to just not pull it, but have a quick conversation. I know we've been moving at warp speed, Roger, with trying to get the 911 dispatch center on up and running. Is this putting us behind it all, having to bring these individual contracts up? Because I know we approved the whole enchilada a few months ago. And to that point, I see that the bids were due on the 23rd. Today's the 15th. So I know everybody's busy, but my main concern is I just want to make sure that this project's not being held up, waiting for approvals, and that they're coming before the board as soon as possible.
I don't believe it's been held up. Mark Beckley's here. He handled the RFP for this, but the time frame for doing this RFP was built into the schedule.
Okay, that's it then. Just want to make sure.
Okay. And any other comments?
Just we're on schedule still? I feel like we're on schedule for the opening?
We're still on schedule.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Supervisor Campbell?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight, Jeanette Lambert leaving the Homelessness Committee. I'm chair of that committee. She looms very large and has done a lot for our community and for District 5 related to homelessness issues, and she'll be very missed on that committee. I also really want to thank Myra for her service on First 5 and a number of other committees that I've served on with her. She actually started serving on those committees right when I started with the Board of Supervisors, so she's been contributing and serving this community in a variety of ways, and so very grateful for her service.
Great. Supervisor Griefer?
I should have gone before Supervisor Campbell because he stole my thunder, literally. I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say. I've only, being new to the board since January, I've only worked with these individuals a couple times. So anytime we have great volunteers leaving the organization, I want to make sure that they understand that they're going to be missed, and I appreciate their volunteer and their dedicated time that they provide, and I wish them all the best. Next time I go first.
Okay.
Supervisor Holland?
I want to thank Kanan for adjusting the hours of the recorder's office to be in line with the rest of the county. I know it was becoming an issue with the title companies about getting houses recorded and properties transferred, which is a big deal with people when they're trying to move. So thank you, Kanan, for getting that done.
Great. All right, well, since everybody already took all the nice comments about my District 5 representative for the Homelessness Committee, I also wanted to thank, it's not just Jeanette's service on the Homelessness Committee, but Jeanette has dedicated decades of her life to serving the community at the Lambert Center, and I know we're working on trying to support and partner and continue that as that moves forward and transitions. I also wanted to say that I'm very happy to see the basically second project we've done on Jamestown Road. I don't know if anybody has driven on that recently. It is in much better condition than it used to be. I always knew this would be about a 3 allocation road project. And that's such an important major collector that keeping it from falling apart is very key to, I think, long-term saving money. So all to say, thank you. Looks great. I think even that section where some jerk ran off the thing and, you know what I'm talking about. I think that's already even cleaned up to it look like, so already on it. Okay, with that, if there's no more comments on the items, we'll open it up for any public comment. This is again on any items on the consent calendar minus item 5.
Good morning again, and I would just quickly like to thank you for the 3 of you, Supervisor Griefer, Brandon, and Campbell, for your comments on Jeanette Lambert. And I just want to, as a member of the public, echo those comments. She's an amazing woman. I mean, you just know when you meet someone and they just reach up and give you like a warm hug the first time you meet them, you just know that's a caring person, and that's just the kind of person she was. My mother-in-law volunteers at the Lambert Center, and a close friend of mine also does. And Jeanette has been an amazingly tireless person of so much energy, and what she's done for our community is just special. And I know you guys will do a great letter to show the whole county's appreciation to her. So again, I just wanted to say how much I'm thankful for her, and I know that the general public is as well. So again, thanks for doing that.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment on consent calendar minus item 5? Going once, going twice. All right, I'll be closing public comment on that, looking for a motion to approve, again, of all but item 5.
I'll move. I'll second.
All right, we have a first by Supervisor Campbell, a second by Supervisor Kirk. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, abstaining. All right, passes unanimously. We're going to be moving into item 5 then. The clerk can read that.
Item number 5, adopting resolution 49-25 to repeal and replace resolution 55-19 to modify the restrictions for roadside parking on Justice Center Drive.
Okay. Good morning.
Morning, Board. Blossom Scott Heim, your Public Works Director. In 2014, your board accepted Justice Center Drive into the county maintained system. The road provides access from Old Wards Ferry Road to the Lawn Justice Center campus. In 2019, after discussions with Tuolumne County Transit Authority, your board adopted a resolution to establish no parking zones on either side of Justice Center Drive from Old Wards Ferry to its end. Recently, the courts have requested that we allow parking on the south side of Justice Center Drive to alleviate the overflow parking issues on busy court days. I handed an amended resolution out, and there are copies in the back, proposing that we allow parking on the south side of Justice Center Drive from Old Wards Ferry to 640 feet east, which is approximately between the staff and public parking lot entrances for the court and where the road begins to narrow. It's recommended that your board adopt the resolution to repeal and replace Resolution 5519 to modify the restrictions for roadside parking. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Supervisor Campbell?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you very much, Blossom. So the reason I pulled this is there were a couple questions that I had, and you and I kind of briefly talked before. It sounds like we've resolved a lot of that, but I'll just kind of go through the issues and questions I had, and then we can go from there. So the first was, what's the width of this section of road, and is it I don't see. I don't know quite the right way to say it. The roads have to be a certain width to have parking on one side of the street by policy through the county. Is this road wide enough for that?
It is. It's approximately 36 feet wide up to that point that we're the 640 feet east.
Okay, so it doesn't create a issue with having parking on the south side, two cars passing each other on
Correct.
the remaining section
Correct.
of road.
We'll have two 12-foot wide travel lanes and a 12-foot wide parking lane.
And then have you communicated with TCTC? Because I know one of the reasons why the parking was restricted on this section of road to begin with was because it could impact, we have the transit station down there, it could impact buses being able to make the turnaround there. Has that been addressed?
We have talked with TCTC, and the no parking will remain in place along the transit center and the turnaround.
Okay, and then my understanding is that this is just for juror parking on those high jury days, or is it just public parking?
This will be court-only parking.
Okay, so they'll have to have like a placard or something, or
There aren't any, I don't believe they hand out placards anymore.
yeah, because we used to have that downtown here where
Right, the little slip
Yeah.
of paper.
Yeah.
I don't think they hand those out anymore.
Okay, so how and whose responsibility would it be to enforce that? That it's just jury parking?
Parking responsibility is CHP on public roads.
Oh, on that road it'd be CHP?
I believe so.
Okay, all right. So it wouldn't be
I
our
think-
sheriff's
I
office?
mean, the sheriff's office could also have that authority.
Okay.
Back to David. He wants to correct me on that.
So would it just be, because they have juries at various times. I mean, they're the days, and I really should know which days they are, but I think it's Monday and Thursday or something like that, where those tend to be the busiest days. Is parking allowed on the other days if it's jurors, or is it just restricted access?
I was gonna go Monday through Friday and then put a time period.
Okay.
Work with the courts on whether that's 7:30 to 5:30 or 8 to 5, and then those would be the designated times that parking would be allowed.
Okay. And then the last question is, if there was, so it's close to the navigation, or it's close to the Justice Center camp. One of the concerns I had is that there might be a little bit of encroachment there, that if somebody wasn't able to get their RV into the navigation center camp, they're gonna just park on the street. Like that was always a concern.
Sure.
What happens in that case? Does the sheriff get a call? Does CHP get a call, and then
They can be ticketed,
they-
yes.
Okay, so they contact the person and then ask them to move, or do they tow them, or how does that work?
I'm gonna look to our sheriff to help me out with this.
I know that one too.
Yeah.
Dave Vasquez, Sheriff of Tuolumne County. I've had a few conversations about parking there. All of the same concerns were brought up, talking about implementation. In my vision, the court campus deputies are going to be the ones that are in charge of monitoring parking. Originally, the parking was going to be restricted to folks because of the overflow complaints regarding jurors trying to navigate the hill and all that stuff. So if there's any concerns about overnight parking or transient parking, that will be addressed by the court campus security deputies.
Okay, all right. So if somebody's there on a Saturday, then
that's right.
They show up on a Monday, or I guess there's going to be deputies driving past that road every day,
Correct.
multiple times a day. So
that's right.
Okay. All right.
Excellent.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. That's all the questions I.
All right, do we have any other board questions, Supervisor Holland?
So I'm the one that kind of brought this issue to Blossom. Judge Siebert and Judge Krieg contacted me about this issue and asked if we could put some parking in, because I guess when they have high jury, the parking lot's full. I know I spoke with the sheriff in length about a lot of these concerns about the homeless parking and the RVs moving out there. And he was telling me he gets quite a few complaints because they're parking in the dirt lot and they're trying to walk up the hill in the winter. And we're trying to get people to do the civic duty. We could at least give them a, dry place to park and walk and we have a sidewalk along that side of the road, I believe. So now they have a sidewalk to walk on. So this is kind of where it came from. It actually came from the courts. The two, I guess, senior judges or oldest judges that are there asked for this to make a change. So that's kind of where it all started.
I don't think they're going to be happy you called them the oldest judges.
I know. That's all right. That's all right.
Okay, do we have any other comments or questions by the board? All right, seeing none, thank you, appreciate it. We'll open this item up for public comment. Any public comment on item 5, please come forward.
Well, I disagree, and I think this is really stupid. The court did not put in enough parking. That's not my problem. That's their problem. And they were told that umpteen thousand times when they were building it, that they did not have enough parking. And now the other day I went to court to watch scumbags go to prison. And people from the camp had their crap all over the road down at the end of the cul-de-sac. There were plastic tubs and clothes and all kinds of junk. And I think one of the problems is that our transit system cannot provide people transportation to get to court on time if they are on jury duty, because you can't get there based on the times of their routes. And we should have routes that people can use to go to jury duty, and then you don't have to worry about parking. And we don't have that, and that needs to be looked at, because I do not want to see cars there, because it's going to be more than cars. In my opinion, it's going to turn into a nightmare, but that's just me. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment on this item? Going once, going twice. All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board and close public comment. Unless there's any questions or comments, I'll be looking for a motion to approve. Okay, Supervisor?
Thank you. I'm in favor of this, but my only concern is that we need to have some mechanism in place, and I'm going to ask the sheriff if there has been consideration, and you don't have to get up, it's more of a rhetorical conversation, is, as we all know, if it's not in print, it's not enforceable. So my question would be, in generally, if this parking area is going to be designated for jurors, there has to be something there to let the public know that the jurors are only going to be allowed to park there. So there has to be something that the court has to put in place so that person can put on their dash to let the deputy or the CHP officer understand that this is specifically for that person. So when of all the times I had to go to court as an officer, not a defendant, it was important to understand where I could and could not, park, so I wasn't taking someone else's place. And that's always the most difficult part of enforcement, is knowing who is allowed to be there and who isn't allowed to be there. So I would encourage the court to come up with something that would be to assist the deputies as well as the CHP officers if enforcement does need to occur, that they're not ticketing or taking enforcement on the wrong person. So I don't think that's within our purview of being able to direct the court to do that. But I don't see how the enforcement could be done unless there's something that the court puts in to support their position. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could just weigh in briefly, just to be clear, sorry to
Counsel.
Cody Nesper, Deputy County Counsel. The only restriction currently is court parking only. So if you wanted to put any specific time parameters or reserve it for jurors, that would have to be in this resolution for it to be enforceable. So this basically would treat it as the public parking in the court parking lot is treated now. So there's not any specific reservation for jurors or time limitations in this resolution. So just if you wanted the court to institute something in the future, that wouldn't be enforceable unless it's in the resolution adopted by the board, because your board has the authority to put restrictions in place under the ordinance code. So I just wanted to make sure that there was clarity on that.
Right, and that was kind of my issue, is that if we're going to create additional parking, because you're absolutely right, there's absolutely not enough parking for not only the juries, but the people who support the cases, the officers, the witnesses. There's just not enough parking at that location. So I'm all in favor of adding or creating additional parking to support the judicial system. But if we're going to have selective enforcement, there has to be a mechanism in place so that the deputy or the CHP officer understands who is and who is not allowed to park in that spot.
Supervisor?
So I think to address what you're saying, Steve, and also what Ryan was saying, was my wife and my daughter both got jury duty a month ago, and the summons came and it still had that parking pass attached to it where it used to fold it up. So I think they're still printing them that way. So maybe they could still use those, and we could just tell the court, well, you want the solution, you got to keep sending the parking passes along with the jury summons. Because I was actually surprised it was still in there, since they weren't parking downtown anymore. So they must just still be printing them that way. So they should be able to have that parking pass to display in the window, which would then hopefully resolve that issue, right?
Well, the issue again is that if we're going to specifically designate this for jury or otherwise, then this resolution doesn't have that in there, and I think that's what council is saying. So I'm all in favor of saying we're gonna create additional parking to support the judicial system, but if it's gonna be limited to X, then we need to have a mechanism in place so the enforcement agency understands that this is acceptable and this vehicle is not. So,
And I think what council was saying is that this is parking for the court, but it's not inherently limited.
no, right,
Is
I
that
think we're saying the
correct?
same thing, I think, right, I think that's.
But it
exact-
wouldn't be overnight, for example. It is just, yeah. I mean, it
Well-
would be for anybody that is attending. It's not really limited in any way, correct?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So, for example, I could park in the court parking lot tonight, right? And just leave my car there and pick it up in the morning, and that wouldn't be a violation of any rules.
But the parking lot's a little different, I think we're talking about the
Well,
street.
it sounds like that's what this is it's basically extending the same, it's essentially extending the parking lot onto the south side of the county, right?
Right,
And
let
if
me- let me,
it's-
let me
we-
geek out a little bit on the legal side of it.
Geek out and then we'll call it
Okay,
Blossom.
so a vehicle parked on a county maintained road has 72 hours. It can be tagged and sit there for 72 hours before it moves. So before it has to be towed, right? So if we're going to do that, then that vehicle could sit there for 72 hours and then it has to be, we couldn't, or law enforcement couldn't tow it after, before that. There has to be ample, that's that little yellow sticker you see on abandoned vehicles down the highway. So like I said, if we're gonna say it's gonna be for jury parking, or for court parking between 8 and 5 on these days, Monday through Friday, then the document needs to say that. If it's gonna be just open parking, right, Monday through Friday, however, again, in order to be enforceable, there has to be a mechanism in place to hold up in court.
Blossom.
So right now, we're proposing court parking only. If your board would like to add hours to that, days and hours, I'll look to Cody. I think we could do that.
Yeah, that could be done today. That would fit within the
So,
agenda language.
7 to 6, I don't know what the court hours generally are. 7 to 5:30, Monday through Friday, I'm open to adding
Which-
that.
Which kind of loops us back to enforcement, right? So if we're gonna say it's for court parking only, how does the beat cop know that that vehicle is there specifically for court? That's the fly in the ointment here. So my issue is that, again, I'm in favor of this, but it comes down to enforcement. I don't want to put a deputy or an officer going to court saying, hey, I did what I thought was right, and then there's nothing to support that. So do we, as an organization, as the county, have the authority to tell the court to come up with something to designate or give them a slip or put something, as Mike said, on the dash to allow the enforcement officer to know that that vehicle is in the right spot?
If they're still printing the parking passes with the summons, I believe that would
Buzzy.
suffice.
Okay, I don't know. Like I
Yeah.
said, again, the devil's in the details, right? It's some
Absolutely.
beat cop's gonna get called to a motorhome that's been parked out there for 5 days, and it's gonna get towed, and somebody's gonna go to court, and the officer's gonna go in there saying, well, this is what I was told, but if there wasn't anything there to support that, then it's gonna get tossed.
And not to be a stickler, we do have item 14. We have a 10 a.m. appointment for the closed. I think we're overcomplicating this a bit. I think it could have something that we might have to address, but it sounds like we're fine with what's basically presented here. If we wanted to add the hours, I think was mentioned, we can do that.
7:30 to 5:30.
We could just add that in there if that addresses it and be able to move on.
So what I would, I agree with everything Supervisor Griefer said.
Yes.
So, I'd be happy to make a motion, but just the last question so I agree with putting it on the courts to be responsible for making sure that only jurors or officers of the court are parking there. Is there any plan to put up signage, or, in some cases, what they'll actually do is, paint the parking spaces, juror only or something like that on the actual parking space? Is there any plan to do that?
The intent was just to put up signage.
Signage, okay.
Yeah.
That says something along the lines of only jurors can park here.
Well, we were proposing court parking only.
Okay.
And we
okay,
can add
okay.
days and hours to that if your board would like, Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30.
So that satisfies me. Does that work for you?
Sure.
So I'd be happy to make the motion that we approve the resolution with a time frame of, how about 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.? That way, if people show up early, we have some questions from our
I'm so sorry. I just want to make sure that I understand this clearly, is that that area is no parking with the exception of court parking between the specified hours, correct?
That is the intent.
Okay, so overall, no parking except during those specified hours for court.
Yeah.
Just, okay, got it. That sounds great. Thank
Okay. So what the sheriff said, from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday, court parking only, and apart from that, approve the resolution. That's my motion.
So second.
All right, we have a first by Supervisor Campbell, a second by Supervisor Griefer. I believe the motion is to approve the resolution, but amended for only allowing 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. parking, correct? And then, was that the entire, there wasn't any of the sign, yeah, right.
No, the signage is,
It's a Blossom
policy.
problem.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's
Great.
an implementation. Yeah, Monday through Friday.
All right, so we have a
11 to
first, we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, abstaining. All right, it passes unanimously. We're gonna be moving on again into item 14. And then after that, we will move into, well, Sheriff, do we anticipate this might be a longer item? We do have a 10 a.m. with somebody on the line, and they charge by the 15-minute increment.
Your pleasure, sir. I think this will be quick.
Okay, yeah, let's just do 14 and then we'll hop over. So if the clerk can read item 14.
Item number 14, consideration of authorizing the Tuolumne County Transportation Council to seek safer streets for all grant funding for DUI/drug detection training and license plate recognition technology.
Right, Sheriff?
Morning, Board.
Morning.
Sheriff Dave Vasquez. Originally, this was scheduled to be on consent, and now it's under Sheriff Coroner. It's pretty self-explanatory, just our letter of intent, because there's a 25% match. Want to extend some gratitude to TCTC and our professional partners, SPD, who are all CC'd on this letter. As you can see, the Sheriff's Office is looking to expand enforcement efforts, specifically in DUI. It's no secret that we have a lot of cases, and we have some dangerous roads in Tuolumne County. Trying to address that in a more meaningful way. I've had many conversations with some of you in outside of this arena regarding DUI enforcement and just traffic and the safety, the streets in our county. And this is our ongoing effort to capitalize on some special department revenue and hopefully offset some training costs to make a more well-rounded deputy to address DUI concerns both for alcohol and drugs in this county.
Great. Sheriff, I appreciate that. And I'll own taking this one off consent. I appreciate you talking to me, answering some of the questions. Most of this in training and operations makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
The technology was one that I just had some questions about. It was unclear whether this was more like a vehicle dash cam, where it is, following a car, where you might be having an automatic read rather than having to, type it in kind of a thing. Or if this was fixed systems on, say, light poles, and then how that data was retained, accessed, and managed in terms of privacy. Obviously, if we had, license plate readers on every signpost, we could technically track everybody. I know that's not what this is proposing. Just in the details of what are those limitations? Can you kind of reiterate and walk through what that looks like?
Absolutely. If we could just talk about funding really quick. So basically what we did was we applied for every aspect of funding, every level of funding that we can get through this grant for Safer Streets for All. Chances are we could get funding for just the training, some of the equipment, and then the technology, which specifically you're talking about LPR. License plate reader technology has been out for a very, very long time. Sonora Police Department, I believe, has been using it for maybe the last 5 years. There's a couple of different cameras. I know they're earmarked for one more to bring it in. I know that there's a narrative about folks thinking that it's necessarily tracking them or that the deputy sheriffs or cops are following folks and tracking their location. That's not true. Some vehicles do have mobile license plate readers on them. I don't anticipate that would really suffice for us strategically anyway. We are looking to sort of narrow the scope of our search when it comes down to active calls for crime, specifically DUI or any other type of violent crime, which means we cover 5,500 square miles with very, very few cops in this area when you talk about geographic location. I think to be able to have that type of technology, I'm a big supporter of. I think it's something that we have to leverage every piece of technology we have to best protect this county. Going back to data storage, all of the information gathered from a license plate, and I know that this is an unpopular perspective, is that the reason why it's a crime to not have a license plate is because you're supposed to be able to be identified. Whether that's captured with a cell phone, whether it's a peace officer who's reading that plate, whether it's somebody who has private property and wants to know who's accessing, whether it's a resort. These people all have the right to collect that information because it's displayed in the public. And when those items are required by law to be displayed in the public, there is a limited expectation of privacy. All we're simply doing is being able to access that should we have the right to know and the need to know. That's a very important phrase. Because it's the governing doctrine for all DOJ type information now.
And that's who controls the right to know, need to know would be DOJ. So
That is
you'd
the
have to
doctrine.
submit a request and they host the data. They would make a determination.
We have access to that. So right now, the sheriff's office is the county coordinator. We coordinate all the DOJ information and we are audited. So anybody that accesses those databases is subject to an audit trail of an inquiry. Sometimes you have to submit a specific incident code. It's no different than when we have to run records checks. We have to articulate that right to know, need to know based on the situation that's been reported to us or whatever we have observed or are investigating at that point. So this is not a free-for-all database where you can just reach in and grab data at your leisure and use for your own personal devices. And I will say that is the number one concern with folks, is that any tool can be misused, and that is correct, without checks and balances and policies and procedures. From an external standpoint, there have been times where LPR has been used by private industry and it's been used incorrectly. And there's been reports that have been taken associated with that. Other types of facial recognition technology that are used by private entities that have been misused. There are times where law enforcement agencies have misused LPR technology, and I can give you a whole slew of those where people have lost their jobs and been fired for policy violations and in civil type pursuits. So any tool can be used negatively. Our job is to make sure that we regulate that with policy, with the best practices of the law. But I know that is a concern for folks thinking that there is spying. What this does is it limits and gives us a starting point. Now, I'll tell you one case that sticks out to me. It was a few years ago, we received a call for service out of county, and it was a mother who was really concerned about a mentally ill father and the fact that he had kidnapped their son that they had together. Now, we have a lot of area that we're covering, and we just knew that they were somewhere in the county, possibly at a campground. If we had adequate LPR, we'd at least be able to know in which arm of that county they were on. We were too late. It ended up being a murder-suicide in our county, up the hill. And while we're scrambling, us, CHP, Forest Service, I think we even had deputies from Alpine County trying to check every possible campground we have without a starting point. And I think that coming back full circle, if you have LPR for these types of things, whether it's DUI, whether it's other violent crimes, any other type of complaint where time is of the essence and we have vulnerable folks involved, to be able to have a starting point in a county the size that we have and a lot of geography to cover is extremely helpful for us. But nonetheless, it's all governed by the right to know, need to know doctrine.
I appreciate that, and I think maybe there's an opportunity I can learn a little more on that. Right now, we're looking at doing that grant, and I recognize it's a weird gray area, right? Where having the ability to ID a license plate, fundamentally a license plate is public information. That is what it's meant to be. Same as my face is out in public, right? Anybody walking around. But then a government implementing a technology that might go check everybody's faces, even though that is all public, and compare it. And maybe it's used for 6 months rather than on the spot to kind of flag or not and then eliminate. That's where I think some of the potential for any type of misuse, and I think it's always misuse with the best of intention if you want to solve a crime and you want to protect somebody. But we've seen where, is this on a highway where it is people coming in? Is it on a main street where it is kind of surveilling downtown businesses in some way? These are, at least I just want to say, I hope we get the grant. We can always use dollars. I'm sure some form of this makes a lot of sense. Those are just questions that come to mind for me, is who actually has to say yes or no on it. how long is that data retained? You know, is it license plate data that says, well, if somebody is suspected of a crime, we can go back 6 months and track all the places that we pinged where we think they went? Or is it only that in that moment, we got a ping that they have a warrant out and you're able to go get them, but it's not in any way trying to track behavior patterns. It's just saying they were here, this is a point to start. So I appreciate I just want to be clear on that. That's something that if we get this grant, it comes back, I will probably have more questions on that.
Of course.
Yeah, because I just worry about something like that again, like a camera type on Main Street, or something that is logging anybody going through certain intersections. And there's just a lot of questions.
bet.
Where do we put that? Is it a highway? Is it in high-income communities or low-income communities? Is it on, viewing private properties, and which ones? This is, messy.
Well, and the good thing is we don't have to reinvent the wheel, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say we submit for this grant and we get funded at the max capacity of it. It would be my intent that, one, we have to have an educational component that goes out to the public, making them aware that, this is the technology. It would come before the board, because I think there should be that conversation that's had as to the geographic location. We should all have an opportunity to hear from the constituents about how we implement the technology. It's funny you mentioned Main Street, because I can tell you right now, if I'm not mistaken, I think the city of Sonora has one at Washington Street at the church, and then one up on Greenlee at Mono. So again, they're constantly collecting that data, but it is a concern as to how it's governed, because you have to have a high level of security when you're talking about that type of information. The potential for misuse is there. You just have to have sound policy and leadership to make sure that that's not happening.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sure.
Do we have any other? Yeah, I think Supervisor Griefer had his hand, and then I'll go to Supervisor Kirk.
No,
Supervisor
thank you.
Griefer?
Obviously, the sheriff and I speak this language, having my past life. So a couple things is it's the law of unintended consequences, right? It's the LPR card doesn't just, a license plate reader doesn't just go after X, it goes after everything. And what I mean by that is the deputy out there gets a hit on the car. It may not be a DUI, but it's a stolen vehicle, or it's a kidnap case. I worked that case where that was that murder-suicide up in unfortunately, I was working that day. And that frustration is palatable, right? Wanting to do the right thing and not having the tools to save that young person's life. So this is I'm all for obviously removing any impaired driver off the road, whether it's drugs or alcohol. I had a 21-year career of doing exactly that. So every tool we can have and to make the deputy and the officer successful, I'm all for. The other side of that is this isn't a Big Brother thing, right? Big Brother, without getting into the weeds, the data that's collected is very secured. You have to have the right access to get to it, point 1, point 2. And the data that's in the LPR system is updated pretty regularly. So the hot sheet of stolen cars gets loaded in, a suspect that we're looking for gets loaded in. Once that either that car is located or that suspect's located, that data comes out. So it's not always going to be floating around in there. So without getting too deep into the policy, and the sheriff hit it right on the head, it's policies, procedures, and it's having the right people, or having faith in the employee not to misuse the technology and the tools. So I would say, let's go ahead and move forward on this. Let's give them the tools to be successful and make our streets a lot safer.
Supervisor Kirk?
Yeah, I'm hearing it, and I think where I'm coming from is, after World Trade Center 9/11, Congress did this whole thing called the Patriot Act. Yep. We all, you weren't a patriot if you didn't support the Patriot Act, but then fast forward, how abused that whole thing became. So whenever I hear cameras, I share the same concerns as Supervisor Brandon. I think just having this conversation is helping. I think if the grant does get approved, I would like for it to come back to the board just so we have more time to research it, have another conversation. I don't like getting in the weeds and directing policy, but I'm very, very concerned that it is strictly used as a starting point. If there's a hot sheet that's get loaded, that all makes sense. Part of it is I don't know the system enough. I just know from my research on the Patriot Act and everything that's happened since then, the amount of monitoring that's been abused for citizens. Even to go as far as you may have had a DUI in your past, but it doesn't mean that every time you drive by a deputy, you should be getting pulled over because you at one point had a DUI. So I guess my point is, yes, move forward, but I think I mean, Sheriff, you're a Marine, you get it. We all share the same sentiments. So as long as we're having these conversations and including the public, one of the questions I did have was the memo is very specific though. It talks about be on the lookout. It talks about 6 DUI operations. So if we get the grant approval, are we only using this technology for those 6 operations, or is this going to be once the grant comes in, you have the technology, we're going to use it for these 6 operations, but we're also moving forward. It's just going to be part of the tools in the tool bag. So that's my question.
The technology in and of itself would obviously be owned by us after we secured it. The 6 operations are going to be funded by this grant. Also the training to get the deputies up to that level to be able to run these types of operations. And I say that with the highest level of gratitude for our California Highway Patrol partners who we currently do commonly turn over. We've turned over approximately almost 50 cases from last July to now. The DA's prosecuted 180, and I think they're recording somewhere just under 400 DUIs. And the statistic is for every one that you get, there's 5 more that go by. Sure. And so I completely hear you. Patriot Act concerns, a bit different, but also kind of closely related in the same conversations. Here's something else to note is that our office prides ourselves on making sure that we get permission from a judge whenever there's anything that needs to be fact-checked. We are not solely reliant on any one database. We have an obligation to ensure that whenever we have one piece of information that we can vet that to meet those elements before we are taking any operations into consideration that might be intrusive on somebody's Fourth Amendment rights.
Okay, all right.
This is just a tool.
Absolutely, but as you know, people
That's right.
abuse tools, as you know, and so
That's right.
we just want to be cautious.
You bet.
Thank you.
Great.
Same.
Okay, and with that, I know I was harping on the time, and Sheriff, I really appreciate it. We're at 10:12. I'll be looking for a motion to, did we already do public comment on this? No, we didn't, did we? Thank you, Sheriff, appreciate it. We're going to open public comment on this item. If any members of the public would like to comment and speak, you'll have 3 minutes. Please come forward.
Thank you. I didn't think you managed your agenda well because this has now been almost 20 minutes. So I'm in support of this. Thank you, Captain Nikki Fork. There's also components from the DA's office as she's also gotten grants. So her newest grant is going to allow for some public outreach. So perhaps some of that can be taken care of when they do their public outreach. I was disappointed in the way this was written because it didn't discuss any data. And the sheriff has access to more current data than I do. But in the first 84 days of 2025, there were 105 cases filed. Since June 30th and like the first week of July, in this county, we had 2 fatalities related to DUI drivers. Just this week alone, I think it was on the news today, there's an item about a vehicle and a drunk individual, and we have a significant alcohol problem in this community that we need to address. And I hope that this will help us to do this. And I would like to see current numbers really be put out by our law enforcement agencies so that everyone understands what a severe problem this is in our county. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have other public comment on this item? All right, going once, going twice. All right, closing public comment on this. I'll be looking for a motion on item 14.
So moved.
And I'll second, and I appreciate the conversation on LPRs. I had a bit of a different perspective on it because the way I see, we're pretty late to adopt new technologies in Tuolumne County. In fact, we didn't have body cameras until 4 or 5 years ago, and and LPRs I think are pretty universally used in most other areas. So this is a technology that's existed for a long time. So I feel confident that a lot of those issues that people have concerns with, just like they had concerns with body cameras when they were first adopted, there were a lot of privacy concerns there. I think those have been worked through to the point where I'm comfortable with that. And at the end of the day, we have a lot of DUIs in Tuolumne County, and I think we're fairly consistent with the state in a lot of areas of our crime, but I feel like we are way too high with DUIs. And so any effort that we can do to reduce that, I'm supportive of. And I don't think that this goes into an area that I'm not comfortable with in terms of enforcement. So I'm supportive.
All right, we have a first by Supervisor Griefer. We have a second by Supervisor Campbell. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No abstaining? Okay, passes unanimously. So with that, we do have several closed sessions as mentioned at the beginning. One of them is kind of a timed 10 a.m. there. So we have three, let me see. We have one 10 a.m. closed session, then we have 4 more closed sessions after that. Roger, what would be your recommendation? We do the 10 a.m. closed and then we do the 4 closed after and then come back for the property ones?
Yeah, we're pretty flexible, however you want to handle it. The 10 a.m. appointment is available until noon, the person who's calling in.
Okay, let's do that. So we will, if the clerk can read our first 10 a.m. closed session appointment and also items 15 through 18, and we'll have all of our closed sessions together and then report out. And then we'll reconvene after all of that for our second and third 10 a.m. appointment, which are property issues.
10 a.m. Item 1, closed session conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Authority Government Code Section 54956.9D1, Rose Leanne Bell versus Tuolumne County et al., Calaveras County Superior Court Case Number 22CV46491. Item number 15, closed session, conference with labor negotiators, Roger Root, Acting County Administrator, Liz Peterson, Deputy County Administrator, Karen McGettigan, Human Resources Director / Risk Manager, and Deb Showman, Human Resources Manager, Authority Government Code Section 54957.6, all bargaining units. Item 16, closed session, public employee performance evaluation, Authority Government Code Section 54957B1, titled Director Public Works. Item 17, closed session, public employee appointment, Authority Government Code Section 54957B1, title County Administrative Officer. Item 18, closed session, conference with labor negotiators, Authority Government Code Section 54957.6, agency designated representatives, Karen McGettigan, Human Resources Director, and Christopher Schmidt, Deputy County Counsel, unrepresented employee, County Administrative Officer.
Okay, great. So again, for the public, this is our first 10 a.m. appointment. This is also items 15, 16, 17, and 18. We'll be having public comment on all of those before we go into close. So open up for any members of the public who would like to have a comment on those. Soft, welcome.
Morning. Good morning. I was expecting this item to be in the afternoon. So, all right. Situated here. As you know, Mike DeAnda, business representative for Operating Engineers. I represent 2 bargaining units here in Tuolumne County. Your employees or masters bargaining unit and your healthcare unit. And I don't know if you're aware or if the citizens are aware, but we've been at negotiations now for about a year. And just keep that thought process. Almost 20 negotiation sessions for each unit. We have 0 tentative agreements. We got nothing. 9 months past the expiration of the previous contract. And I'm not taking a personal shot at the negotiating team for the county or the law firm or the lead negotiator that you guys have hired for negotiations, but they have just basically become messengers. There's no negotiating being done at the table. I really feel it is in bad faith. As a matter of fact, I feel your last offer was regressive, and we did speak to your lead negotiator about that. He disagreed. So just keep this in mind. The law firm you hired, you're just north of $250,000 in their contract, and ultimately they're just a messenger. They keep telling us that the authority that we've gotten from you, that's it. There's no negotiating. So again, I don't feel this is being done in good faith. The messaging at the table, in my opinion, doesn't reflect reality. That's actually happening. There is money to be spent. Matter of fact, in the May 6th meeting, you guys discussed some surplus, but the employees were never mentioned. They have not had raises in a couple of years. They haven't had any help in their health insurance in several years. Your employees feel disrespected and they feel marginalized. So I'm asking you, please reconsider reoccurring money. They need some help. They do. It's absolutely imperative that you guys address reoccurring money. Thank you.
Mike, thank you. All right, and again, this is for items, our first 10 a.m. appointment, and then 15, 16, 17, 18. Yep, I was just reiterating, I know you walked in, so I wanted to make sure. Got a
Sorry, I was
chance.
expecting it later today, so.
Yeah, our agenda
you
went a
guys
little
are
quicker.
On it. Appreciate that.
Good
Okay,
morning.
so good morning, Chair and members of the board. My name is Kriston Chakowski. I am a Tuolumne County employee, but I'm here as myself and someone that lives in the community. I am speaking today in regards to our county employees, particularly those who work on the front lines, behind the scenes, and in every corner of the county that serves its people. These employees are not just workers, they're the backbone of Tuolumne County, and they deserve to be heard and valued. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna get a little emotional because negotiations the last year has been rough, really rough. Sorry. The recent compensation study clearly revealed what many of us have felt for years. Our county staff, especially the lower levels, are significantly underpaid relative to industry and regional standards. This is not a question of perception, it's a matter of documented fact. Yet despite this, there has been no meaningful action to bring wages in line with the true cost of living in our area. Many of these workers are being asked to do more with less. They're covering vacancies, working long hours, shouldering the emotional, obviously, and physical toll of the under-resourced departments. Whew, let me breathe.
You're good, you've got time, don't worry.
They're financially strained, emotionally exhausted, and increasingly disheartened by the system that seems to prioritize selective projects over the well-being of the very people who makes this county function. It's disheartening to witness continuous approval of funding and new initiatives, agenda items, and capital expenditures, while dedicated employees are left to juggle multiple roles without fair compensation or support. These discrepancies send a clear message to those whose needs need to be prioritized. These workers are your neighbors. They serve your families. They keep the roads safe, your permits processed, your records maintained, and your public services running day to day. I'll skip to the end. I would like to see and urge the board that you not only revisit the compensation study with urgency, but to realign budget priorities to reflect respect of all employees, not just the leadership or specialized roles. Let us build a community of culture where all workers feel valued, supported, and fairly compensated, and let Tuolumne County be a place where people want to work, want to stay, and can afford to live here. So when you go into those closed sessions, please remember my face, because I am in our unit more than 300 of us that live here. Our families are here. We want to stay here. But even in Tuolumne County, most of my friends and family have to drive an hour just to live here, which is sad because this is our home and we want to make a difference. So thank you for your time, your consideration. And I'm in your district, Mr. Kirk, and I hope you vote for us.
Thank you. All right, and do we have any additional public comment as well? Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope this is the right time. My name is James Medeiros, and I'm here to talk about the project on South Sunshine Road. And
Is this related to our second or third property appointment?
This is related to one of the 10 o'clock public hearings, land use public hearings.
Sorry, yes,
So not the closed session.
So we're doing the first closed session at 10, which is a different one. We're doing two property ones after that in public section, so that would be the.
So I'm too early.
Too early. Sorry, sir.
Well, I support the two previous speakers because I'm also aware that your negotiating has gone on for a long time and you are absolutely determined not to give your employees one more penny. And they deserve better than that. And I'm sick and tired of coming to these meetings and hear these resolutions and, oh, go back and tell our employees how much we value them. Well, that's a load of malarkey. So you need to put up or shut up. And I'm also concerned when you have a public employee performance evaluation that they come get their evaluation and they kind of leave with issues maybe resolved or unresolved, and then later found out they're fired and they're escorted to their office and walked off the premises like they're a common criminal. So I'm a little concerned about this, about a couple of these items here. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Again, this is on our first 10 a.m. and 15, 16, 17, and 18. Do we have any additional comment? Going once, going twice. All right, with that, we will close public comment on those items and adjourn into closed session. I anticipate this will probably take us into lunch, so we'll probably be reconvening 1 o'clock. Yeah, so we'll call that for, we'll be reconvening at 1 o'clock for our second and third 10 a.m. appointments. Thank you. Welcome back. We ended up working through lunch, so we got these 2 items, and I think we're off for the day. So if the clerk can read the second 10 a.m. appointment.
10 a.m. Item 2, public hearing to consider Maderos Enterprises. 1, adoption of Resolution 52-25 for a general plan amendment to amend the general plan land use designation of a 0.77 acre parcel from public P to light industrial LI. 2, site development permit to allow the construction of 23,656 square feet of mini storage facilities consisting of 2 two-story structures. Notice of exemption pursuant to state CEQA guidelines.
Okay, and with that, I will open the public hearing. Just as a reminder, these are property issues, so in our quasi-judicial capacity, and leave it to you.
Hello and good afternoon, Chair Brandon and Board of Supervisors. My name is Shady Smith, planner at the Community Development Department. I am before your board today to present Project Lunar 24-1 for Mr. James Medeiros. One second, there it goes. The project is located at 20311 and 20319 South Sunshine Road, assessor's parcel number 038-091-009. The parcel is approximately 370 feet southwest from the intersection of Green Acres Road and South Sunshine Road. The site is adjacent to State Highway 108 and is within Supervisor Campbell's district. The project consists of a general plan amendment to amend the existing general plan from public to light industrial and a site development permit to allow the construction of 2 two-story mini storage buildings, which total 24,600 square feet on a 33,541 square foot parcel. Here is the proposed project site plan. Currently, the site consists of a commercial garage, a single-family dwelling, and a fenced area that contains personal storage. There is a drainage area that borders the south portion of the site. Majority of the vegetation exists on the south side of the fence towards the bypass, which is in the existing Caltrans right-of-way. The applicant is proposing to demolish the structures and remove all material on site to prep for the build of the mini storage facility. The existing single-family dwelling did go through the Historic Preservation Demolition Committee review as the structure was over the age of 50 years and it was approved. No demolition has taken place at this time. Your agenda packet included the site plan, elevations, preliminary landscape plan, and example renderings of the proposed mini storage facility. The site is proposed to have a 6-foot-high fence with landscaping fronting South Sunshine Road, 2 designated parking spaces, which include 1 standard and 1 ADA space. Additionally, an office building is being proposed within the square footage of Building 2. The facility is conditioned to be constructed as a tan color with tan doors, green roofing, and green trim accents. The applicant plans to operate Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Surveillance and signage is also included. Property owners within 300 feet were notified on March 4th of 2024, along with relevant advisory agencies. 3 responses in opposition cited concerns about population, traffic, and aesthetics. In brief, the light industrial zone allows for various uses, but this mini storage project will not increase residential population. Public Works found a traffic study unnecessary as the estimated 61 daily trips falls below the 500 trip threshold. Though this area is eligible, it is not designated as a scenic highway. Landscaping, existing vegetation, and fencing will help screen the project. Advisory agency feedback and tribal consultation have been incorporated into the project's conditions of approval, including a requirement for a tribal monitor during earth moving. Here are the required findings for a general plan amendment, and on the next slide is a list of findings for the site development permit. Both align with one another, therefore I'll quickly cover both at once. The more detailed version can be found at the end of the report. The proposed light industrial general plan would be consistent with the existing M1 or light industrial zoning district. Mini storage facilities are listed as a permitted use in the light industrial zoning district, and the project is required to meet the applicable development standards and conditions of approval. The site currently is served by existing utilities, and the project will not increase population, generate excessive traffic, or impact sensitive resources. The project is consistent with nearby development, and a notice exemption has been prepared. On June 11th, 2025, the Tuolumne County Planning Commission made a recommendation to your board to approve Lunar 24-1 based on general plan amendment findings A through E and site development permit findings A through D, subject to conditions of approval 1 through 62. Staff recommends that your board approve project Lunar 24-1 based on general plan amendment and site development permit findings and subject to conditions of approval 1 through 62. Do you have any questions?
Great, thank you. Supervisor Campbell?
Thank you, Shady.
Hi.
Appreciate the overview. My question, so in reading through some of the comments from some of the neighbors, one of the concerns that was brought up was about the stop sign there on Sunshine. Certainly, it's not the applicant's fault. It was built that way. Who knows how long ago? But was there any analysis about that? If there is increased traffic at that intersection where, I don't know how to describe it. There's a stop sign and then people come off of Highway 108, and a lot of times they're going very fast because they're carrying that speed from Highway 108 onto Sunshine Road and are not respecting that stop sign.
Yeah, I
What's
don't.
the opinion on that?
I don't think there was any analysis done, just in the sense that it screened out of a traffic study or something like that. I could see if maybe Public Works is available to answer that question at some point.
Okay.
But no, that wasn't analyzed.
That wasn't part of the traffic mitigation study?
No,
Okay.
there was no traffic. It didn't warrant for a traffic
okay.
study, so
Right,
it
right.
it screened out completely.
I see. Okay. And then could you pull up the map of the location one more time?
Yes.
So.
This one or the site plan?
There you go. No.
That
There
one.
you go. I like
All
the
right.
colorful one. It's
All right, zoning map.
simpler for me to see. So what's the closest residential to that, and how far away is that?
Closest residential would be the HDR parcel, which is the orange color towards
So
the top
opposite-
portion of the site.
So opposite side of the street, north side of Sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
How far away would you say that is?
Maybe about 100 feet.
Okay.
40 feet. I think the road right of way in that piece, South Sunshine Road, was a 30-foot dedication as it sits now. So I want to say anywhere above 30.
Okay. And then what side of the project are they going to be seeing? Are they looking at the entrance? Because I wasn't real clear from, the other one kind of shows it, the next couple pages. But where is the entrance into the proposed?
The entrance is on the site plan, so on the northeast portion of the site, that is where that intersection is that you were talking about, the stop sign. So as you can see here, I don't know if there's so the applicant is proposing to have 3 encroachments off of South Sunshine Road. So you can see there is one right here, one here, and one here. And so in relation to the zoning map that we first saw, that HDR parcel is back here.
Okay. And so which of those entrances is the main entrance? I assumed it was the one at the narrow part of the triangle, but
We have the applicant here if
Okay.
he would like to answer that question. I don't think we have a specific answer on what was the main entrance.
Okay.
So.
all right. Thank you.
Okay, and looking to council as well for having the presenter and any opposition and how we're going to be handling that. Normally got the card out here.
Yeah, if your board has any questions for the applicant, I would encourage your board to ask those questions of the applicant. I don't believe the applicant should be subject to the typical 3-minute public comment limitation. Usually we afford applicants 15 minutes.
This is asked, do we need to put 15 minutes on to be able to present and answer questions and then open it up for any opponents?
That would be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that, let's open it up to the applicant and put 15 minutes on the clock. That is just a maximum amount of time, but to be able to present and then have a conversation, answer any questions. And if you can adjust the microphone.
Excuse me?
There we go.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Yeah, as far as a number of issues, one where the street comes in off of 108, I own that property and I'm now working on that in the future to build apartments there, and we'll redo that whole intersection. However, the Transportation Council sees fit, you know. But anyway, that issue will be addressed eventually. This project here, I think it's a win-win for the county as far as the number of jobs it's going to create in the construction and then running it. And I also think that, you know, my tax base right now is very, very low. It will go up over 20 times the amount, which I think is beneficial to the county as far as revenues. I've done a number of storage units here in Tuolumne County, and everything is going really well. I want to thank Shady for all of her time and effort because she's very efficient, and it makes everything go much easier when you have good communication. So at this point, if you have any questions for me, I'm ready to answer.
The one question I had was, so you have the 3 entrances. Which one is designated the main entrance, and where do you expect most of your customers
Well,
to
the
be
entrance
entering?
would definitely want to put it by the office, you know, so we can monitor everybody in and out.
So that would be, so we have like the triangular shape, it would be at the peak of the triangle.
Towards the peak of the pie.
Okay.
All right. We can also add one between the buildings
Okay.
if, you know, it's requested. But at this point, my engineer, Dave Ragland, who's been in this area forever, says that's better to put it by the office. But if we need to add, you know, we're completely flexible, and we plan on adding more things that look like windows. I don't want to call them fake windows, but for the highway side, we've agreed to add more windows and have more fake windows to make it look more like office buildings.
Okay. Supervisor Griefer.
Thank you. Will the entrances have sliding gates? You need a passcode or a keypad to get in?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and is there potential of traffic backing up due to the fact of if your main entrance is going to be the one closest to the top of the triangle, as my colleague said, is there any chance of vehicles backing up or?
No. We'll design it, the engineer and everything. We'll put it so whether it's swinging gates or rolling gates, before we set the final set of plans in, we'll have that.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. I had a question, I think, one was maybe not understanding. You mentioned that there was a landscaping plan for Shady and staff. Understand that there needs to be a 6-foot fence and that it would be retaining kind of the stuff. There's not a lot there right now. What are we looking at in terms of a landscaping plan since this is such a heavily traveled corridor in the view shed?
Well, my landscaping architect is also a local person, and we're trying to keep as many native landscaping as possible. But yeah, that front will be landscaped really nice because that's going to be my whole sales point.
Is that written out in the plan do we have anything defined that's actually a map of what that landscaping is?
I believe so. He did all the.
Yeah,
preliminary stuff.
it's in the packet. It's the preliminary landscape plan towards the back of the packet. The majority of the vegetation is proposed at the front here. It says landscape 1,280 square feet here and here along the front of South Sunshine Road. And then also the existing vegetation within the Caltrans right-of-way kind of along this area is also aiding in the screening of the project in addition to that fence as well. So those were the kind of 3 points of landscaping that is being incorporated into
Not really a lot of vegetation there, is there?
going out on site, if
And
you're
I
going,
should say, I mean along Highway 108, not along Sunshine Road, since that's much lower traffic. I'm specifically asking about the landscape plan. When I look at the preliminary plan, I pretty much just see kind of a flat-faced building. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong part.
let's see.
Is it page 20 and 21?
We do plan on landscaping it all the way around. So, you know.
It's page 20.
Yeah, so along the highway, I don't see landscaping on page 20.
Yeah, along the highway, there isn't, as you see on the site plan, any proposed. The applicant is proposing it to be majority of fronting South Sunshine Road, and then kind of using the Caltrans right-of-way area to
Yeah,
screen that.
because of Caltrans, we can only do so much. And we have fences that are green and the buildings are tan and green, and so, you know, architecturally, you know, matches the area and all that.
And as I mentioned, it was zoned in 1996 or rezoned. Because I was seeing on the previous, the color zoning map, I totally agree with the comment, really helpful to look at, that it's got M1 there as kind of light industrial, but also that it's public. So why was it made public? What was the reasoning for that rezoning?
Yeah, so this one was interesting when processing this application. So you can see that majority of this quarter has that public general plan designation, and that was put in place. And I believe it was 1998 when they did a general plan update. The county did a general plan update to kind of prepare for the expansion of the East Sonora bypass. And so when this project came in, there was kind of some confusion on whether or not Caltrans actually wanted to acquire this parcel for the potential future expansion. So staff at planning worked with the Tuolumne County Transportation Council and Caltrans, and it took almost a year for Caltrans to come back and say that they did not want to acquire this parcel. So we did actively ask them if this is something that they would need before we even proceeded with taking this project before your board.
Okay, so this doesn't have to do with like any blue ribbon committee from back then planned view shed along that corridor?
No, so what I can tell is this segment of Highway 108 is listed and designated as scenic, but it hasn't been formally adopted. And there is no plan in place for it to be scenic.
Right, and I was looking through it, I thought there was a specific section that said it was not ruled scenic. Not that it was scenic, but it didn't really have an active plan.
Yeah.
Let's see, however, it is not identified as a scenic route in county plans.
It's listed, I believe, as eligible
Okay.
from the state Caltrans website.
Can I say it was quite an inconvenience to wait a year on Caltrans. It was terrible. Us trying to get through to people, it was hard. And then in the end, they never wanted it anyway. It was like 30 years ago they wanted it. So.
I think that's all the questions that I have. So, Kirk, did you have any follow-up ones? Okay, you still have the time if you would like to continue presenting any more. I leave it to you.
If anybody has any more questions, but I think it will vastly improve. The area. I'm sorry here. Sorry about that.
No
It'll
worries.
vastly improve the area though, because I've owned these buildings for 20 years and they're just so dilapidated that, you know, it's an eyesore. And I think all this, you're gaining the roads, and if you guys have been out there, the roads are just decimated and it's never going to be improved if we don't do this project because the cost is, you know, makes it not affordable, you know. So not only is the county getting brand new roads and storm drains, you know, which I think will be a vast improvement. And because the buildings do look dilapidated and they need to be removed.
And actually, that brings up maybe one more thing. So in addition to any like road improvements, is there a financing, like a CSA that's being established for this at all, for the maintenance of that road? My understanding is that there's only a limited amount of residential back there, so probably
Right.
most of the traffic would be coming to the auto shop and the storage.
I own the road, so I have to maintain it.
Oh, I thought it was a public.
Nope.
Okay.
Which road are you talking about? Sunshine?
Excuse me?
Which road are you talking about?
Sunshine. South Sunshine.
Isn't it?
The
Well,
400
that's-
feet in front of my place.
Oh, okay. You're talking about okay. The road itself is a county road, though.
Yeah, the road's all included in this.
Yeah. Okay.
This whole project. That's why I think it's such a good thing for the county, is that you're getting these storm drains, you're getting new roads, and it's so bad that, you know.
So are we abandoning public easement then?
What's that?
Are we abandoning our public easement from a public road and as part of your project, releasing the road to you?
No, there's no abandonment at all.
So it remains a public road.
The road is designated as a county maintained road. The applicant does, his property does cover a portion of that road, but it is a county maintained road. And a part of this project, it has been conditioned that the applicant dedicate an additional road easement for South Sunshine Road. So that's condition 5. Currently, as it sits, there's a 30-foot road dedication easement over South Sunshine Road, and the applicant is being asked to provide an additional 5 feet for that road easement. So it is county maintained.
Okay.
So I just think it's a win-win for everybody. So anyway, I really thank you for your time. If nobody's got any more questions, I'll sit here in case somebody does. And thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. I want to thank Shady. She does a tremendous job. All right.
Thank you. All right, and now I believe we offer the same opportunity if there's any opponents of the project. Right, seeing no opponents to the project, we'll bring it back. I believe we get to close the public hearing.
And did you call for public comment, for, against, neutral, any public comment?
I have not. Do we need to do that while we're in the hearing, or do we do that after?
Do that, yes, while the public hearing is open.
Okay,
Before
great.
you call for a vote.
And it's been a little while since we've done a public land use hearing.
And I apologize, I didn't provide you,
No worries. I think it's been a couple months. So we'll open up public comment on this item. If there's any members of the public that would like to speak on it, you'll have 3 minutes. Please come on forward. Going once on public comment. There we go. Sure.
I just had a basic question. So the report that I saw for the environmental report, it talked about a couple of different things, but one of the things it didn't talk about was actual environmental impact in terms of the environment. So it is an old, as you mentioned, it's an old auto shop, isn't it? And I think that's been there for a long, long time. And so I'm wondering, in terms of the environment, was there any sort of type of impact report based on any of that?
Great. Since if we have a kind of technical answer to that quickly with staff, do you mind responding?
I would just note, as far as environmental review, this was deemed exempt under CEQA. So that's part of the board's packet, is the notice of exemption under CEQA. So I think that's as much as I have on that question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any other public comment on this item? All right, going once, going twice. All right, closing public comment, and we'll be closing the public hearing portion of this item and bringing it back to the board for discussion.
So if it's if the chair is open to it, I'd be happy to make a motion to approve staff recommendation of the general plan amendment based on findings A through E, and approve the site development permit based on findings A through D.
So, perfect, I did want to bring up one thing. When it's come to a lot of development, I've tended to favor seeing more intensity when it comes to it. There is one concern that I have here where we have.
Point of order, do you want to do a second before we get into comments?
No, well, generally, we wouldn't want a motion in a second. We would want to discuss and then have a motion in a second.
But he has a motion on the floor, which I will gladly second.
Okay. And then, okay, so we have a first and a second. Are we fine to discuss anything?
Yeah, I mean, if there's more discussion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, so looking at it, it's just with the view shed. If there was, not saying that that is a particularly good-looking spot right now with that, but if there was ever effort between there going all the way up to Twain Hart, it is very limited in development on the side there. And that's just it's only a concern for me that this would be a fairly permanent use of a building that basically can't really be utilized for other purposes, that then wouldn't be able to be any type of green space setback going on the way to Twain Hart.
Well, I guess.
And I'll go with your recommendation on this. It's just I wanted to voice that concern.
I mean, I'm supportive of it. I think it follows all the standards that the county has set out for the property owner. And, you know, I will, like, talking about the view shed and that area is not very attractive at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I mean, just going to Caltrans, for example, they have a giant equipment storage area that has a ugly looking chain link fence around it, you know, and I'm happy they're there because, you know, that's no equipment that they use in my district, but it's not a very attractive place to begin with. And, you know, I felt the proposed development is consistent with other mini storage sites that I've seen elsewhere that I don't think are particularly unattractive or, you know, good or bad, really. I don't think it's going to be a negative impact in terms of the view shed, to use that term, especially based on how it looks right now. So that's kind of where I landed with it.
All right. Do we have any other comment, questions? Other than that, we have a motion first by Supervisor Campbell. We have a second by Supervisor Griefer. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining. All right, it passes 4-0 with Supervisor Holland absent. All right, and we'll be moving on to our third to name appointment. If the clerk can read the item.
10 a.m. Item 3, public hearing to consider Ola Ranch Properties. 1, adoption of Resolution 53-25 for a general plan amendment LUNR-24-30 to amend the land use designation of a 1.13 acre parcel from low density residential LDR to high density residential HDR. 2, adoption of ordinance for zone change LUNR 24-30 to rezone a 1.13 acre parcel from residential estate 1 acre minimum RE1 to multiple family residential R-3 under Title 17 of the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code, notice of exemption pursuant to state CEQA guidelines.
Okay, take it away again.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Natalie Rizzi, Senior Planner with the Tuolumne County Community Development Department. The next item we have before you is Lunar 24-30, which consists of a general plan amendment and zone change. Lunar 24-30 consists of a general plan amendment to amend the land use designation to high-density residential, or HDR, and rezone the site to R3 or multiple family residential. The HDR designation and R3 zoning would allow up to 15 dwelling units per acre, which could allow up to 16 units on the 1.13 acre site. Residential developments that are consistent with the board adopted Objective Design Standards, or ODS, are reviewed ministerially and do not trigger discretionary or environmental review. The applicant has indicated they intend on developing the site with approximately 10 to 12 residential units under the Objective Design Standards in the future. The project site is a 1.13 acre parcel located at 10655 Golf Links Road in Jamestown, approximately 500 feet southeast of the intersection of Jamestown Road and Golf Links Road. The site is within the general plan identified community of Jamestown. The site is bordered by the Boulders subdivision community to the southeast and west and the Valley Vista subdivision to the north. This site is within Supervisor District 5. The current zoning is RE1 or residential estate 1 acre minimum, and the current general plan is LDR or low density residential, with the proposed zone change to R3 and proposed general plan amendment to HDR. As shown in orange on this map, there are other HDR and R3 parcels along Golf Links Road in the immediate vicinity. The project stakeholder notification was sent to 30 surrounding property owners and advisory agencies on February 12, 2025. The notification was posted to the planning page, which notifies a number of individuals. 3 responses were received, including 2 adjacent property owners and 1 non-public agency. All public agencies that responded either had no substantial comments or no objection to the project. No responses or requests for tribal consultation were received. The comments raised concern about the future multi-housing development, decrease in property value, public sewer capacity, and road infrastructure. Future residential development consistent with the objective design standards would address many of these concerns. These ODS provide clear, measurable requirements for site layout, access, landscaping, and building form to ensure compatibility with the surrounding development. The ODS ensure that new housing is designed to be compatible in terms of scale, massing, and appearance with surrounding neighborhoods. Future development of the site would be compatible with other development, both in terms of design and density. The HDR designation in R3 zoning requires connection to public sewer. The applicant has been coordinating with Jamestown Sanitary District to meet this requirement as they are the public sewer provider for this area. This site is accessed via Golf Links Road, which is a county-maintained road. Future development of the site would pay the applicable traffic impact mitigation fees in accordance with Chapter 3.54 of the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code. Future development would be reviewed for consistency with applicable codes relative to access, circulation, and fire safety. To approve a general plan amendment and zone change, the approving body must make findings that the project is consistent with the Tuolumne County General Plan, Zoning Code, and any applicable specific plan, that the project would not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare of the community, that the project site is suited to the uses permitted, and that the anticipated land uses would be compatible with surrounding existing and future uses. The project was found to be exempt from CEQA. Staff has provided evidence for Lunar 24-30 meeting these findings as contained within the staff report of your board packet. The Planning Commission is the recommending body for general plan amendment and zone changes, with the Board of Supervisors making the final decision. The project was considered by the Planning Commission on June 11, 2025. Questions and concerns were raised by the Commission regarding the ministerial review of future residential development. No members of the public spoke. The Commission unanimously recommended to approve Lunar 24-30. Based on the evidence discussed today and contained within the agenda report and board packet, staff recommends to approve general plan amendment and zone change Lunar 24-30 based on findings A through E. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much. I believe we have to open the public hearing on this. I know. And with that, any questions for staff by the board?
Just a quick
Supervisor
question. It looks like, I mean, obviously it's an infill project. It's looking at the map. If you go back to that map, is this a direct correlation of our board reducing lot sizes and whatnot? Is that how this was able to move forward? Just kind of curious. I know in the past we've had discussions about reducing lot sizes and trying to get more infill projects. It just kind of looks like it fits that mold.
Yeah, I believe this applicant just wanting to come in under the objective design standards now that it's kind of a ministerial process. So they were kind of looking to use some of those new processes and streamlining to allow housing on the site.
So thank you.
Okay. Seeing no other questions with the board, and just to clarify, this is of course right by the Boulders development.
Correct, correct. That's kind of what's surrounding it to the south is that Boulders development.
Right, and it kind of wraps all around it, right? And
Correct.
this parcel goes directly out onto golf links. It's not connecting with Boulders.
Correct. It has direct access to golf links right here.
Okay, great. So with that, I'll ask if the project proponent is here and would like to speak to the project. Are you the proponent? Speaking for it, yeah, proposing it, yeah. We'll put 15 minutes on the clock to be able to present the project. We can ask any questions, have any discussion there, so.
So my name is Keela Peterson, and we are the developers of the Boulders project. And we bought this piece of property because we wanted protection for our project, and we plan on keeping the standards that we have at the Boulders right now. Which, you know, I live in Sonoma County now. I was Tuolumne County for a while, and I came up and it was just, you know, landscapes filled in. It's really Boulders is a really beautiful project. We have a lot of professionals that live in there, doctors, lawyers, and it seems to fit a nice niche market in Tuolumne County. And, you know, looking to take kind of our model and our look to have a higher density. That's all I have to say.
Great. Do we have any questions from the board? I don't have any questions. Appreciate your time. So with that, ask if there's any opponents of the project who would like to speak. All right, seeing none, we'll open this up for public comment on the item. Any members of the public that would like to speak on this project, you'll have 3 minutes to be able to address the board. Going once, going twice. All right, I'll close public comment and close the public hearing portion of this decision. This is in District 5, so I'll take prerogative to give myself the microphone. One, appreciate Boulders is a very nice development there, and I think that this area, as mentioned, is zoned very well for that type. I'm happy to see the Jamestown Sanitary District letter is certainly one that comes to my mind. So I have no issues with this. Just appreciative that it's continuing to move forward. I've been out there a number of times, and I know that the road issue and what's there and adjacent and broadband and all that, it's all taken care of. So. So if there's no board comments, questions, I'd be happy to move on the staff recommendation to approve of all the findings and recommendations by, by staff.
Second.
All right, we have a first by Supervisor Brandon. We have a second by Supervisor Campbell. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, abstaining. All right, passes unanimously 4-0. Supervisor Holland not in attendance. Great, thank you. And with that, I believe, we done? We do not have reports on here. Oh, we do have reports on here. Do we want to do reports today or no? My default is no unless I hear enthusiasm.
I didn't have anything.
Give my NACO report next week.
Okay, good. Then we will, we'll do reports at the next meeting. And other than that, thank you, everybody. For those that stayed in with closed session with us, enjoy lunch. Our apologies, and see you at the next meeting. Bye-bye.